All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm back in action with another look at another movie that has come out recently. And, you know, this particular movie is a very special movie, I think. It's a good cautionary tale, but not the cautionary tale that people would expect it to be. But if you really think about it, it's a very good cautionary tale. For example, when it comes to this movie, unlike other movies in the past, where I have seen people try to portray the devil. And who is the devil? Well, he's just supposed to be somebody who comes out and wants to kill you in a brutal fashion. That's the idea of the devil. That's what he's supposed to be. I don't think that's a very good view of the devil. Regardless of what you believe or what you understand about the devil, if you were to really personify the devil in a best way, you know, take his qualities and make him good, no better representation of the devil has ever been done than Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, it's based on a book by Jordan Belfort, and I want you to remember something. Very often, when it comes to good and evil, it's really not a question of belief. It's not a question of occupation. It's not a question of where this person comes from. It's really a question of perspective. And because this story was told from the perspective of Jordan Belfort, it's not the story people wanted it to be. You know, if Hollywood were to really remake this movie from more of a basic screenwriter's point of view, you would see the victims. You would see some of the, you know, the rise and the fall. And the fall would end up in pain and death and humiliation. Not here. Not in this movie. But don't get me wrong, I liked this movie. I liked it a lot. I was very surprised that they were able to make this movie almost 3 hours long. I found it even more impressive that they kept me around for 3 hours. Usually if it's 3 hours long, I really can't stick around for that amount of time. Things to do. But when it comes to Wolf of Wall Street, they made it a very entertaining 3 hours. You know, the whole thing starts with, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort, as he talks about his life, he talks about his drug use, what he does on a daily basis, and how he got there. Great performances by Matthew McConaughey, Jonah Hill, an introduction to the lady who plays Naomi, his beautiful, beautiful wife. Of course, because the guy is a multi-millionaire. But how did he get that way? Well, guys, it was the 1980s. The greed culture. Well, Jordan Belfort was something called a yuppie. I feel like I have to explain a yuppie, because nowadays, people actually don't know what that is. But you gotta think of a group of people that, you know, this is the 80s, just 20 years after the 60s. So in the 60s, we had hippies, people who are all about peace and love, and now you have money, power, success, and that means yuppies. Ironically, I don't think the word yuppie was ever used in this time. This was the 1980 greed culture. All about money and power. The golden rule. The gold makes the rule. He gets to do what he wants. He gets to have whatever he wants. I thought it was hilarious that one of the things they talked about was, you know, they had all these hookers and whores that kept coming to this place, this stock brokerage, and they actually had to designate no sex zones for people. It's like, you know, their signs actually says, you know, somebody in a sexual position with a circle and a line through it saying don't do that. And of course nobody was listening, you know. But this was a huge culture of excess, extreme excess, and excess is expensive. So you need to be keeping, you know, you need to motivate your people. You need to be looking out for them, and that's what he did, you know. But it all costs money, even when the FBI was breathing down your throat. The funny thing is that Jordan Belfort, did he hurt people? The answer is yes. You know, because all these people were, it was penny stocks, pump and dump. And when you put money into a penny stock, it goes up like that. It goes up real fast because it's just a penny stock. These things really have no meaning. And then when it gets up to a certain point, you sell your stocks You get all this profit back, all this commission back, and they get nothing. The funny thing about this, one thing they really talked about was how when it comes to Wall Street, the winners of Wall Street are the stockbrokers. It's not the people investing their money. It's the stockbrokers. Why? Because every time you invest, you have to pay the stockbroker a commission. And that's where he makes his money. Now, one thing that Jordan Belfort did is he changed his philosophy from going after postmen, policemen, retirees, people looking to just supplement their income. He went after the rich people to really make himself wealthy. But you never really saw what happened to those people who he conned, who he tricked. It was all about him. In some ways, I don't think they made the FBI agent going after him into a real villain. But they didn't make him into a hero either. The story was all about Jordan, all about his good days and bad days, and when things went bad, it was just a bad day. It wasn't something normal. It wasn't anything that horrible. He changed his life. He got everything. He lost everything. But, he's working to get it all back. But the one thing you got to understand about Jordan Belfort is that there's probably no repentance here whatsoever. He doesn't care about what he did or who he hurt or anything like that. The only thing he cared about was making his money and making it happen. Was this a very entertaining movie? Well, for 3 hours, yes, it kept my interest, and that's saying something. Usually after, an hour and a half, 2 hours, it starts to drag. There really wasn't many drag moments. Things kept changing around. Things kept altering. What was actually interesting was seeing Jordan at the beginning. Now, he started out as this bright-eyed, pushy-tail kid who really just wanted to make a living. But wasn't into drugs, wasn't into alcohol at that time, and how he changed through the years. Is it a cautionary tale, like I said? Yes, it's a very cautionary people like Jordan Belfort. Watching out for those con men, watching out for those smooth-talking, confident, good-looking, well-dressed, very expensive lifestyle people. And that is what this movie is really about. A lot of people complain about this movie. They don't feel like Jordan got his really just due at the end. Well, let me tell you something, people. That's life. The best part about this movie was how things fell apart at the end, because in Hollywood, things would have fallen back a certain way that fell back on him. Here, it was something that had nothing to do with him. But because it happened, it destroyed him as well. And I will never look at Benihana's again, ever. I found that very, very fascinating. So this movie is a see it. I enjoyed it. I think you'll enjoy it too. Leonardo DiCaprio, I am so surprised he has not won an Academy Award. The performance of a lifetime. The energy he had to exude and his personality shift made me feel like I was really watching Jordan Belfort. I wasn't watching Leonardo. And, I know people sometimes aren't a fan of narration, and this movie is chocked full of narration, but they did a good job of balancing narration with what was happening at the time and Leonardo DiCaprio breaking the fourth wall. Hilarious, exciting, a good movie. And you know what? I do recommend watching it. This time period has passed. There are the two sides of me. I got the angel on one side saying it's good that it's passed because that was, this is how diseases got spread. And this is why we got so sickly. And this is what destroyed a lot of Wall Street. But then there's the devil on my side that says, it's a shame this really went away because it was a freer time, you might say. More excessive time. And sometimes that excess is what gets people. But it also, ultimately, is the excess that destroys him. Alright guys, that's it for me for now. We'll see you at the theaters.